All right, welcome. We're going to call this meeting to order and we're going to get started with our pledge of allegiance. Everybody will please rise. I went out of order already. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now we'll have our land acknowledgement. I did it backwards. Sorry, Jonathan.
We honor the first peoples of these lands by acknowledging that the area in which we gather is within the traditional territory of the Stillaguamish tribe of Indians. The Stillaguamish people have inhabited these lands and waters since time immemorial, and their ancestors have remained in this territory to this day. The Stillaguamish people have continued to practice the traditional ways of their ancestors of fishing, hunting, and gathering. The Stillaguamish tribe has had these lands and cultural traditions passed on to them by their ancestors who believe that everything has a spirit and that they are caretakers of these lands and waters.
So next up, we'll have our roll call attendance. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond,
Here.
Director Kelly,
Here.
President Levesque,
Here.
Director Knapp,
Here.
Student Advisor Nichols,
Here.
Superintendent Street.
Here.
Thank you. Next, we'll have our approval of the agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda or do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve agenda as presented.
Second. It's been moved by Director Diamond and seconded by Director Knapp to approve the agenda as presented. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
President Levesque,
Aye.
Director Knapp.
Aye. Thank you. The agenda is adopted. Next up is our approval of our minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve our study session and regular meeting minutes from June 10th? Are there any changes?
Motion to approve.
Second. It's been moved by Director Diamond and seconded by Director Knapp to approve the regular meeting minutes and study session minutes from June 10th. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
President Levesque,
Aye.
Director Knapp.
Yes. Next up is our special board meeting event attendance minutes from June 11th. Do we have a motion? Make a motion.
That's second.
Been moved by Director Knapp and seconded by Director Diamond to approve the special board meeting event attendance minutes from June 11th. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond,
Yay.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
President Levesque,
Aye.
Director Knapp.
Yes. And then lastly, in our approval of minutes section, is our special meeting event attendance minutes from June 13th.
I make a motion.
I second.
It's been moved by Director Kelly and seconded by Director Diamond to approve the special meeting event attendance minutes from June 13th. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
President Levesque,
Yes.
Director Knapp.
Yes. All right, the approval of the minutes section is done. Next, we would have our public comment section of the meeting. Do we have anyone signed up in
We do
advance? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak tonight? All right, we'll just skip that and move on to our next agenda item, which is our consent agenda. And that has a whole lot of stuff in it. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Is there anything anyone would like to pull?
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
A second.
It's been moved by Director Diamond and seconded by Director Kelly to approve the consent agenda as presented. Madam Clerk.
Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
President Levesque,
Aye.
Director Knapp.
Aye. All right, and it is now consent agenda is adopted. And then the next section of our meeting is the most exciting, is our interview of our candidates for our vacant board of directors position number 3. And just gonna give a little brief overview, if anybody doesn't know. During the May 28th, 2024 board meeting, the board accepted the resignation of Michael Kingman as school board director for director district number 3. State law requires that the remaining school board members appoint a replacement within 90 days. A request for applications was posted on the district's website and 4 candidates have met the eligibility requirements to interview for the director district number 3 vacancy. The board is required to conduct these interviews in an open public meeting. The public can provide feedback during the interviews via a link, which is available on our website, in board docs, and on the meeting notice. Feedback will be accepted during the interviews and until the board recesses the regular meeting to convene the executive session to evaluate the qualifications of candidates for appointment to elected Office, School Board Director, District number 3. The candidates are number 1, Kelsey Ramirez, number 2, Nicole Watts, number 3, Megan Galvin, and number 4, Ronald Fisk, in order of their applications being received. The process that we're going to use is we'd like to, at this time, invite all 4 of our candidates to please come out into the superintendent's office, and Debbie will show you where that is. And then we will interview you one at a time. And then once all the interviews are completed, then we will invite you to stay for the remainder of the meeting, which is when we will make our decision. So follow Debbie, not Brenda. I did say Debbie? You did.
You did.
Well, that was funny because I switched them in my head, but then I switched them back into my mouth. That's pretty good of me. All right. So we will be interviewing each candidate. We have 6 questions and we're going to give 20 minutes for each interview. And we will wait for one to come in and then we'll have them stand at the podium. It's not nervous if they're at all. No, no one cares. And then we will set the time. And we'll start our questions with Nathan and we'll go down the row. Just like ducks in a row. We will have our ducks.
Always have our ducks in a row.
That's fine.
Look at how that works. It's like math wins. Now we just wait for Debbie to bring somebody. Somebody.
Hear you.
Welcome, Kelsey.
Hi.
Thank you for applying. Welcome. We are going to start with Nathan. We're just gonna ask you one question. The timer will start. And it will be, we will have 20 minutes for each candidate.
Okay,
Okay.
hold on. Little helpers there, I get it. Right.
All right, welcome Kelsey.
Hi.
So I just have one question for you. How has your background and experience prepared you for successful service as a school board member?
Well, I am a born, bred and raised Arlingtonian. I attended and graduated from Arlington High School. And I still live on the same street I was born on, and my kids now attend Arlington School District. I have one in high school and one in elementary school. I am a correctional deputy for the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office. So talking to people, communications is a huge part of my job. And I feel like in the leadership positions that I've had at the jail, that I feel like I would be a asset to you guys in a different viewpoint than most people have, being born here and then in the environment that I do work in. Sometimes I see the insight of the troubled, and that's what I'd really like to help with the kids that are lost and need help found, and I feel like I can really help in that area.
Hey, Kelsey. My question is, what do you believe our school district is doing well?
I really believe that Arlington really tries to keep that home, small town feel, that community that we have. And I know that, you know, the public and it's a struggle sometimes in some places, but that's the goal of the schools. You know, my kids come home, and especially my youngest, and talks about, you know, just being helpful and being insightful, and she's learning that from the school district, and it's encouraging to hear that, and being proud of, you know, the country and being supportive of others, and those are things that I'm hearing from them. And so I really think that is really great. And educational wise, Arlington, people are leaving other towns and bringing their kids here. And I think that says a lot about our school district and how well that they're doing and the things that they're providing for.
Thank you.
My question for you is, what are the greatest challenges currently facing our school district? What do you see the board's role in addressing these challenges?
think there's a lot of challenges, and a lot of it being a small town, I know the schools are old, trying to pass the levies and stuff. I know Post Middle School. Well, it was old when I went there, you know, and it's still going, so I know that that's been a struggle for a really long time. I feel like, oh, my brain fart just went. The other challenges are how society itself is evolving. You know, it's a small town, change is hard. And I think that that is a difficulty in itself. So being open-minded and able to sit down and effectively communicate with each other to problem solve and come up with a proper solution that, you know, would benefit either the majority or most, or, you know, to be able to see both sides. I think that those are all challenges that are the biggest at this point.
Thank you. Kelsey, a board team engages in decision-making, which at times may involve diverse opinions and difficult or controversial issues. What skills, strategies, and/or approach will you use to engage in the decision-making process to bring about a decision made for the greater good?
I am definitely pro being, you know, like a devil's advocate. So it's pointing everything out on all sides and trying to leave no stone unturned. So effectively communicating, hey, this could be a potential problem, or looking 10 steps ahead. I think that that's a good quality to have. And with my job, I have to do those things. I train other adults in security and, you know, how the jail works, and everybody learns differently. So I have to change sometimes my approach on how to effectively communicate for that person, whether they learn by sight, whether they learn by doing, whether they learn, you know, by reading. I have to take all of those things into consideration. So being open to that, to be able to help either see all sides, understand where people are coming from. It's very diverse. We have, you know, people working, you know, from other countries, and the difficulties and language barriers is a big thing, and you know, social aspects. We're having to take all of those things in consideration, and I think that with my ability to be open-minded and to be able to see both sides and weigh the pros and the cons of whatever situation that's going on, as difficult as it might be, help eventually come to a solution of some sort.
Hi, Kelsey. How will you effectively work together with the board to be a responsible steward of the district's resources and budget?
Okay, repeat that one. There's lots of parts.
How will you effectively work together with the board to be a responsible steward of the district's resources and budget?
I am all about communicating with people that know more things about a specific thing than I do. I don't pretend to know everything, because Lord knows I still learn stuff every day. I'm willing to do research. I'm willing to read. If you have information or any type of resource that I can catch up on, or, you know, I'm more than happy to read it. If I have questions, I am not afraid to ask. I feel like my response to being that would be, you know, taking everything into consideration and doing the research and putting in the time, which I'm willing to do. And like I said, I don't pretend to know everything, but I am willing to learn, and I am willing to put in the work to learn about topics or whatever's on the board, or finances or budgets or anything of that nature.
Thank you.
And finally, is there anything else you would like to share with the board?
You know, I just really would like to thank you for the opportunity. I think that I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I feel like I'm finally in a position where I can offer a different perspective, or you know, just being a mom and working and, you know, wanting to effectively impact my community. And I just yeah, I really just thank you for the opportunity and I hope that, you know, whatever decision you make is what you make and that's okay. And just thanks for the chance to take part in it. Yeah. Thank you.
And now Brenda's gonna show you. the picture. I got the name right this time. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you. Same
Do
question.
you wanna go in reverse?
I'm all for that.
What do you think, Chris? That fair?
Next, she's still gonna be 3 though, so next.
Oh, no, I was 4 last time.
Oh, you were 4, so 1, 2, 3. Oh, yes.
Oh.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. We're gonna mix it up. Okay.
We're going backwards.
Okay, that's just, you know. We'll see if she comes back with a question.
What?
We'll see if Brenda knows who to vote.
Oh,
Thank you, Harry. This would be a perfect time to tell a dad joke. You ready for a dad joke?
Yes, you have.
I have a dad joke. I'm a safety huddle every day at a hospital. You are. Oh, we are recording.
Well,
Maybe. Debbie says, hold please. It's innocent. I'll tell you later.
Stay tuned. Make your way.
Make your way to the museum. Thank you for being here. We're gonna start over here. And
Hi. Hi, Nicole, I'm Sherry. I'll start off the first question. How has your background and experience prepared you for successful service as a school board member?
Well, I am a nurse, and I manage a critical care and an acute care at Cascade Valley Hospital. I think with my background on that, just kind of really being flexible and meeting people where they are, has helped me with that, and leading a group through the last 4 years has definitely prepared me to make tough decisions and follow laws that people may not have agreed with. I am a mom of 3 boys that have gone through the Arlington School District, and so I do understand a lot of this, what this community and Arlington schools represent. I had the honor and privilege to be a part of leadership Snohomish County of class of 2022, best class ever. And that taught me a lot more about the broader community of Snohomish County and the importance of getting involved and making an impact in that way. I got to see the inner workings of how school districts work and our transportation and corrections and all of that, and how it all intermingles and how each kind of really contributes to a strong community. I also serve on Arlington Education Foundation, so I get the privilege of voting on grants for our school district. I think one of the hardest boards that I had to be a part of was the Stille Valley Little League board during 2020 and 2021, and really kind of fighting on how do we get our kids back out on the field safely. I was the safety coordinator. Angry parents and kids that just wanted to play ball, so.
Probably seen a lot.
Thank you. I get the next question. What do you believe our school district is doing well?
You know, I just have always been so impressed that there are parents that teach within this school district that fall in love with these kids, and all the kids are theirs. I think that has done a really good job. And I have 3 boys that are very different in the way they learn and in what their goals are. And I think each child has been able to reach in and find their own personality and goal and strive to be where they're at. My oldest is 25. He graduated from Wazoo in December, and plans to take his LSAT in August. And he is learning that being a lifelong learner is where it's at. And I think that really stemmed from what he learned. I have a senior. He is part of cross country. He's part of flight. Cross country, he's really just kind of likes to get involved with everything and he goes full board into it. And I think cross country has set goals and made him be a better student and a better community member and a better part of our family because they did set those goals. Being a part of group like Flight, you know, that's his passion is music. And I think Arlington School District helped kind of really form those passions for him and helped him grow to be a better musician, a better athlete, and a better student. My youngest is probably the one that has struggled the most. He was in, you know, the early stages of middle school learning online, and I think just the motivation and the support that our high school teachers provided him has got him to realize that I need to study and I need to do better and I need to get involved. So he is joining cross country. He's not one to really put himself out there like my middle or my oldest. So that's what I think Arlington does well, is meeting kids where they're at and helping them grow into what they potentially could be, but holding them accountable to do that.
Nicole, what are the greatest challenges currently facing our school district? What do you see as the board's role in addressing those challenges?
And I think some of the greatest challenges right now is that's kind of coming to light is mental health and the wellness of not just students, but also staff. I think that social media has added a huge complexity to how to really kind of support our kids and make good choices because you see something online that must be truth. So dispelling some of those truths is going to be really difficult and hard. I think that the last few years has really shown where our strengths and where our weaknesses are, not just in the school district, but in the community. And I think it would be really rough to have to kind of weed out some of the negative that we're faced with every day, that you are faced with every day, I'm sure, to really make impactful decisions that aren't so biased and swayed by unpopular or a popular opinion when you need to make an unpopular decision and choice.
Thank you. A board team engages in decision-making, which at times may involve diverse opinions and difficult and controversial issues. What skills, strategies, and approaches will you use to engage in the decision-making process to bring about a decision made for the greater good?
Boy, that has been my life for 4 years, being a nurse leader. I think the one thing that I always go to is finding the why. Why are we making this decision? How can we go about it? And maybe it's not a hard no, but let's see how we can get there safely. I had to make a lot of decisions or support decisions that weren't my own to have to make. And so how do I sell that? So I had to find the why and be curious and ask questions and be able to go and sell and explain to my team on why these decisions were made. And for nursing, it was all about safety of my staff and our community, and wasn't always popular, and there was a lot of fighting and a lot of dissent. So I just had to stay strong and just really have my facts and that why presented to them, and so that they could understand where I was coming from.
Okay. How will you effectively work together with the board to be a responsible steward of the district's resources and budget?
I manage a budget within my unit, and I think a big part of it is collaboration and decision making based on what is smart for our community. Prioritizing what resources really need to be used now and what need to be kind of set aside. And again, being curious and asking questions and finding out why and how is it going to transcend down the line and support others. So it's not benefiting just this year, but hopefully years to come and looking at what's that best option that we can get down the long road for our future.
And lastly, is there anything else you'd like the board to?
I guess the one thing is I love Arlington School District. I have seen my oldest son get to where he is today, and my youngest son is starting to kind of get out of that hump of COVID learning, and it couldn't have been done without Arlington Public Schools. I also love Arlington. It's a community in which I have raised my 3 kids. My husband and I have a home, a little mini farm up in Bryant, and all the things that Arlington has to bring up, you know, us, 4th of July, the Fritz Street Fair, all the things of the holidays. It's a really unique town, and when you go into town and you can say hi to Sherry, and I saw her at the pancake breakfast approaching someone. That's not something easy to do, and but you can do that in Arlington.
Right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now Brenda's gonna show you back to the secret hideout, and number 3 is Megan. Thank you, Brenda.
Let's start with Nathan.
Start with Nathan.
It's plastic.
1, 2, 2.
Yeah, no, not that spicy. We'll just
Not that spicy.
All be staring at each other.
Medium spice tonight,
Yeah,
not hot.
little mild,
Caliente.
little mild spice.
All I can handle.
First.
Oh, okay.
Hello, again.
Right here?
Welcome. Yes, you can approach where I can barely see. Yes, perfect. And we're gonna each ask you one question.
Okay.
Go in order from Nathan.
All right.
I'm Nathan on.
Hi.
I'm Megan on.
Hi.
I have a good question for you. So how has your background and experience prepared you to be a successful board member?
Well, I come from a family of educators, and I am an educator myself. I work in Granite Falls School District as a kindergarten teacher, and my kids go to Arlington schools. And I've seen how this board operates as compared to my district, and I just really appreciate how you're involved in the community. And I just would love to be part of that community too.
Hi there. What do you believe our school district is doing well?
I think I already said that, but I was talking about this with my daughter today before we came here, and she is like, they're always coming to our schools, and I'm like, oh, you know who the board members are? She's like, yeah, they tell us when they're coming, and I just, again, think that that's so great, and I wish my district would end like that too, but yeah, I would love to be part of what you're doing in the schools.
What are the greatest challenges currently facing our school district? What do you see as the board's role in addressing those challenges?
Well, I have a middle schooler at Post, so I believe that is a big thing, and I'm not sure if the board really has the power to do anything to change that. But I would hope that we could be more involved in the community and letting them know that it really is a dangerous place for the kids to go to school. And my husband went there and he's 47, so I think that it's time for a new building. But that's one of my, that's what my family said to say tonight.
Thank you.
All right, number 4. A board team engages in decision-making, which at times may involve diverse opinions and difficult or controversial issues. What skills, strategies, and/or approach will you use to engage in the decision-making process to bring about a decision made for the greater good?
I think I'm really good at listening to all opinions and viewpoints and doing my research and just deciding what is really best for kids, because that's why we're all here, is for the greater good of the children.
All right, Megan, how will you effectively work together with the board to be a responsible steward of the district's resources and budget? Let me repeat it.
Okay, yeah.
How will you effectively work together with the board to be a responsible steward of the district's resources and budget?
So being responsible with the money that the district has. That is where I don't have as much expertise, and so I think I would lean on my fellow board members, and it would definitely be a learning process. And yeah.
Thank you.
And is there anything else that you'd like to share with the board?
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Or,
Yep, that's it.
Brenda's gonna show you back to the room. And then it should be gone. She knows. Are we gonna go back to the other direction? Are we gonna go the opposite direction? Jeff?
Sure.
Fun pattern. Chris is the
Question.
We'll
I know candidate.
Popcorn, that we just, oh, I
Popcorn.
on.
I'm for.
No, that's too good.
No, I know, I know, I know.
It was fun until I said, hi Nathan.
Hi Nathan, I'm Nathan.
I think that we.
It was great. It was perfect.
We're keeping her on her toes.
First. Hello, Ronald. Welcome. You can approach the podium.
Well, thank you.
We're
Somebody
gonna,
left their notes here. Should I use their notes?
sure. We're gonna start on this side. We're gonna each ask you one question.
One question, okay.
One question, I'm Sherry.
Hi, Sherry.
How has your background and experience prepared you for successful service as a school board member?
Well, I have actually been a nonprofit person that's worked on a few boards, one for the Ione Protestant Council, which was the council that actually helped with the chaplains at the biggest youth authority in California. I've also got several years of schooling that come into it. I've had my own business, so I'm kind of familiar with budgets. I created a budget for my own nonprofit that I was going to start during the last, well, not the last recession, but the recession in 2011. I was going to try to help people get jobs. And I created a budget. The budget passed their scrutiny for the government really quick. So I might know a couple of things.
Hi, Ronald. What do you believe our school district is doing well?
What are you doing well? I find that the school district is doing a really good job in running some inclusive means of getting some of the students with needs into the classrooms. In most cases, when that's kind of supervised or kind of worked out, it works out very well for the student and the other students in the classroom. They become less disruptive and they do a really good job. And I've noticed that all the way from the elementary school, all the way through high school. That's one of the biggest high points of it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, number 3. What are the greatest challenges currently facing our school district, and what do you see as the board's role in addressing those challenges?
Well, you're doing a good job on addressing one of the major problems, which was post-middle school. I've actually spent, as you all may well know, I am a substitute teacher, and I spent time at Post Middle School, that school needs to be replaced really bad. You guys are doing a great job at trying to do everything we can to get that through. And it needs to be done quicker than later. That's one of the biggest problems that we have right now is that these kids are going to a school that's run down. And I think it runs them down a little bit too. A few other things is that there have been some changes that I've noticed in administration, which I think have been helpful.
Thank you.
All right, hi Ronald.
Hi.
A board team engages in decision-making, which at times may involve diverse opinions and difficult or controversial issues. What skills, strategies, and approaches will you use to engage in the decision-making process to bring about a decision made for the greater good?
One of the main things that I am very key on is finding out what the area needs and what the area wants. Not just looking at my own decisions, but I do have a background in theology with counseling as a background. I used to work in a youth authority prison system and in an adult prison system as a chaplain. We had diversified people there that we had to work with on a regular basis, and trying to bring everybody in inclusively into those programs was a tough thing. But there was a way to work around the problems that we had. And I find that that's another thing that can carry over to the school district very well, because I'm used to it. I've seen it working in a very helpful way.
And so my question for you is, how will you effectively work together with the board to be a responsible steward of the district's resources and budget?
You said the first words there. Respectfully work together. I find that that is the most important thing. There are some things that are on your agenda, there are some things that are on my agenda, but that doesn't mean that my agenda is right or yours is right. But a combination of all the agendas of all the board members is something that is helpful if we can get that to happen, where everybody is working together. There's never a real win-win-win situation, but hopefully we can not have win, lose, 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 lose. And the biggest problem that we can have is if we have a win and a loss for the students.
And finally, is there anything else you'd like the board to know?
Well, as I put in my letter when I submitted everything, yes, I've worked in the school system. I'm very familiar with how the schools work. I've seen the troubles that we have in the middle schools. I've seen the troubles that we have in the high schools. I believe that the board is here to help the students, and not just a few students, but all of the students get the best education that they can get. And sometimes that means that there's consequences that need to happen with a person's actions. Now, that can go both ways. If a person acts correctly and does their work the way that they should, the consequences are usually pleasant. But if they are disrupting a class on a regular basis, it is bad for all the other students in that classroom. It does not help them learn. It takes a learning environment and turns it into a war zone. I do have students that have come up to me and said that they just don't understand why these students are getting away with it. And so, there has to be consequences. I started working for the school district just after the pandemic. So I've seen a lot of the kids that came in from the pandemic area and have to work their way through school. And I noticed that there was a lot of problems during that time, but there are a lot of kids that have adjusted. And the adjustment has been because they understand the consequences to their actions. They know if they do well, they're gonna be well in school. They're gonna do well in school. The only other thing is that after I applied and I was looking at the dates, I will not be able to make it next meeting. I'm gonna be on a vacation. I didn't realize that. I wanted to let you guys know up front. But I will be here for the last meeting in August, if that's what we need. But you know, I'm sure that people take vacations all the time, and that's the main thing. I'm really looking forward to working with all of you, and I hope that we can make this an awesome school district. A plus school district, as I like to call it, because I think that we have the potential. We have the students, we have the teachers, the instructors, and we have the administration that's going to make that work, and I really appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
And then Debbie goes, or Brenda, I got this. You're welcome to stay, but if you left anything behind, you're welcome to.
Yeah, I gotta go get it. Sure.
Yeah, and then come back. And then you can come back and join us for the remainder of the meeting.
Okay, thanks.
We'll be making a decision tonight. So we are welcoming all feedback on our special link that should be
Well,
active.
they have paper things out there.
And there are paper forms. All feedback would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, there's
For our big audience, yes. You're all getting out of the email. All right, so. So just to give everybody an idea of what's to come, we have a few things on the rest of our regular meeting agenda that we're gonna cover. And then the board will recess into an executive session. We will discuss the qualifications of school board appointees. And then we will come back and make a decision. So if you wanna hang tight, there's just a few things, just like 4. It'll be fast. So, and you're welcome. And anybody else who is joining us online or in person is welcome to give feedback on our special paper or on the online form, and we will be looking at those also. All right, next up is our City of Arlington School Resource Officer Agreement, Interlocal Agreement 2024-25. I would like to welcome to the podium Brian Lewis, our Executive Director of Operations. Welcome, Brian. Good evening.
Thank you. Okay. As President Levesque said, we're bringing to you tonight the interlocal agreement with the City of Arlington for the school resource officer renewal for the 24-25 school year. Attached to this agenda item or the supporting board policies, we'll talk about those briefly. The history of the SRO program in this Arlington Public Schools. Some survey questions that we've been following from 2001 to now, and the terms of the proposed agreement for the SRO. Shown here is a picture of our current school resource officer, Officer Nate Bauer. This is at Post Middle School. It's unusual to be able to get a picture of him without him being surrounded by students. So I'm lucky to have an opportunity to be able to grab a shot with him interacting with the students, but not completely obscured by that. The supporting board policies that are involve a school resource officer, our school-based threat assessment 3225. SRO does participate in threat assessments that we conduct as the need arises. District relationships with law enforcement and other government agencies. This describes the actions that we would expect to see occur with a law enforcement officer on campus. There are other agencies that are discussed inside of this policy, including the DSHS or child welfare agencies and federal immigration agencies as well. And then policy 4311, school resource officer, which talks about the requirements for an SRO program in the school and expectations of both the district and the police agency that supplies the assigned officer. Brief history of law enforcement within our school buildings. The first formal interaction was a DARE program operated between 1990 and 1998, focused on fifth graders, drug abuse resistance education. The first SRO in the district was in 1999. The relationship with the Arlington Police Department providing SRO for Arlington High School. That expanded in 2003, where the district had two SROs, one assigned to Arlington High School and one assigned to Post Middle School. This was prior to the existence of Howard High School. Fortunately, there were budget issues with the city of Arlington, and they had to cut back on the provision of SRO from 2006 to 12. 2013 budget woes continued, and the district split the cost of the SRO with the city, and that transitioned in 2014, where the city did not fund the SRO program, but the school district picked up for officers that worked during the school year. Any questions about the history? Since 2021, we've been asking survey questions of both students and the community. The student responses are shown in the top section of the table. The family and community responses are shown in the lower section. Focusing on students, there have been changes in the terms of students feeling safe or very safe between 2021 and 2024, going up and down depending on whatever conditions are causing students to answer questions this way. What's good is that the perception of an SRO creating an unsafe or very unsafe environment in schools amongst the students has declined. What is also happening is that students who don't know an answer to this question because they may not have interacted with an SRO or observed the SRO at school, that's also declined, but we added a new dimension of measurement in 2023 called other, and that number has took a pretty significant jump this year. There's not always comments attached to these responses, so we don't know what is behind this change.
Are there any
Matt
comments?
has any.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Are there any comments at all to the other?
No,
Okay,
there were no comments. There were comments on the family and community response regarding the SRO, and it ranged from we need more to why do you have this person? So there were, I think, about 5 responses that had additional comments, but that came under the family and community response. Yes, sir.
Could you remind me what the SR status is this year? Did we have one full-time at AHS and did we have anything else at the middle schools?
Well, we had one SRO for the district, so
Okay.
this person, they had an office at Arlington High School and an office at Weston High School.
Hmm.
And they served throughout all school buildings and sport buildings in the district. So even though they might have had an office there, they were still present.
So it's one hire, one full-time for
Correct.
all the schools.
Yeah. Then moving on to the family and community responses, again, we see some slight variance across the years in terms of all categories that were measured. Very safe in 2024, the responses were 84%. Unsafe, very unsafe, 4.6%, and then don't know, 11.3%. So the field of responses that the category represented by don't know narrowed across the years, and very safe increased, and unsafe, very unsafe decreased across the years as well. 2021 was a little bit of an anomaly in terms of don't know, very unsafe mix, but that was not reflected in following years. So, I provided demographics, of incidents by school site for 2023. Also provide for comparison purposes 2022. These demographics are required, for reporting by the RCW, the prevailing RCW for SROs. Which is 28A 32124. That is not attached to the board plate, but the policy reflects the requirements as well, the 4311. And what, for comparison purposes, the number of incidents in 2023 was 470, in 2022 is 487. In 2022, there were 3 bookings that occurred at school. And a booking is when a student is taken into custody. In 2023, there was only 1 booking of a student, and this was regarding the presence of what's classified as a dangerous weapon in our school policy. Yes.
Can you describe what constitutes an incident?
Any interaction with a police officer, by a student at the school.
So like breaking up a fight or just saying hello? Like what
No,
exactly is an incident?
No. Any law enforcement responsibility. So the SRO does multiple functions. The intent of the program is to provide an experience for students so that they are not placed in a state of fear by interacting with a law enforcement officer. There are also reportings of crimes, not that students have committed, but have been committed against them, either inside or outside of the school, and the SRO can accept those reports when he's physically present at the school. So the intent is to build relationships with students so that there's a lower fear factor when that interaction needs to occur, so that students can trust a law enforcement officer and not be placed into a state of panic by having to have that interaction. So they do that. The SRO hangs out with students during lunch periods. They visit classes at the invitation of the teacher or principal throughout the school, all the schools. So they're present with students to build that relationship.
They offer any kind of like mentorship programs with the students? for
Not
higher
formally.
risk? Okay,
But they do help connect students with community resources, both mental and physical health. The SRO has a full range of, options that they can provide access for connect students for or with. I personally witnessed this happening with SRO connecting students with community resources like a community response team that the county may offer for mental or physical health.
And Brian, couldn't one of these incidents also involve, like if a student is run off campus, and then we call the officer to help us find that
Yeah,
student? Those kinds of situations too.
yes. And just because they locate them doesn't mean that they do anything other than provide an opportunity for that student to request help. They don't try to compel that student to return to school or to do anything else. If they build a relationship with that student, find out, correspond with the student's family, see if there's any other assistance they can help, that they can provide, but they don't try to compel any kind of action with that student. They're pretty strict rules when it comes to police activity with juveniles.
and so the number of incidents is both potentially in and out of school, like, so if there's stuff at home that a student reports, the SRO, that's would be considered an incident on there, okay.
Like if we get a report even on the tip line, like let's say on the weekend, and we need to have the officer go and check something out, and that way.
Okay.
Does this count things like our early release Fridays when kids are running around Arlington and our SRO happens to be in the vicinity? Does that count that or no?
No.
What about like
It-
football games or
If he's
dances?
there, right?
What's that?
If the SRO is there?
Yes, if they're there, generally there are
add
other
to
police
the-
officers, the SRO is present at the football games because there's a huge. Amount of people there, thousands of people there. There are other officers present at those events as well. It's really anything that occurs on school grounds or it's reported to the SRO at school. There are lots of things that are reported to the SRO at school that occurred elsewhere.
Much higher number of presidents in Eagle Creek.
Yes,
Interesting.
That keep in mind that different programs at the different buildings might require some different kind of attention or support.
Well, I noticed the special ed category at the bottom, is that kind of what you're talking about? Okay.
Some, I mean, it could play a part.
out of those programs, there were no referrals or no bookings from special education. So the categories that are below the number of, the booked and referred, like the race, gender, special education, that is for either a booking or a referral. And a booking is if somebody's taken into custody at a school building, and a referral is if charges are referred to the county prosecutor's office. Whether the county prosecutor acts on those charges is up to them. They choose to or not to. Chief of Police also produces another report that I don't have here with me today, but it reinforces the numbers that you see here in terms of Arlington High School and the density of incidents that occur. And this report that the chief produces shows the top 10 geographic locations that generate police interaction. And Arlington High School is always in the lower bottom 5 of those top 10. It's just because of the number of people. There's 1,800 people in that building, including students and staff.
So Brian, is that first column district office?
Sorry,
Is the first column district office?
yes.
So what would be?
So that's like if I call requesting a no trespass against not a student, but an adult.
Okay, I just want to get a perspective of, what all
Yeah.
these.
Or like if a
All
car
these
is broken into, would that be an incident?
At the DO.
So we get a perspective of 470 incidences are.
Right. 80 days of school and there's 400, so it's just quite a large number.
This is 24 hours a day. And these are,
So
there are incidents that occur outside of the school year that the SRO doesn't deal with. But there was 484 incidents throughout the year. I think these are SRO numbers only.
So during the school year, the SRO is on call 24/7, really? Okay.
Believe me, they call me at 2 a.m.
Okay.
It's a never stop.
Well, the tip line is 24/7.
Yeah.
But you were saying this doesn't, the SRO doesn't, do they do something during the summertime? Are they?
They work for the police department. during the
Right, so
summer,
I'm saying
patrol
this is only
officer.
during the
School year, yeah,
That's
but I
what
mean 24/7
During
during
the
the school year.
Yeah.
But they can flex the time too,
Okay.
not like Brian can flex this.
And it's not just me that they correspond either. So the high school principals honestly get the most interaction. Yes, or high school, and middle school principals.
I know that a few years ago, the SRO at the time, I think he talked to ACE or DSET, one of those, and shared everything that, he had been doing at the high school mainly. I guess I haven't heard that in a couple of years, but, I'm just seeing it on the responsibilities, coordinating programs and presentations, principals and dealing with, emergency plans and things like that. And, wondering if we have data on that, does the chief compile that data and a report for those things
In
or?
May, I don't have access to it.
And
I
your
know
parents
that
know
the
that you,
SRO does participate in our EMARC meetings.
okay,
And they also, if there's security related issues, like not specific to an individual, but
Yeah.
overall, then I will consult with them just to get their point of view, because they are professionals. That's not.
I was just wondering, because it's like, we're seeing like incidents, right, which feels negative, like this
Mhm.
is why we need him because of negativity. Or I guess it could be an SRO, could be either gender, but in this case, it's been him, but I guess I'm just wondering the other categories, right, like the if there is, right, like the other programs that he's working on and things like that. This, Yeah.
The primary number of contacts or incidents that occur are not that a student has committed a suspicious behavior. It's the victim of the
oh,
behavior
okay,
and outside of school. Could be in school, but the vast
Yeah.
majority are outside of school.
that makes sense.
So there's also another part of that language that you just cited that it's at the invitation of the principal that they can conduct these workshops or teachings with students. And at this point, that the presence in a classroom is really what is an invitation, not to the conduct of a specific program or workshop. But guy that sets the ACE agenda. We can talk about having this next year. Or police officers.
Or
Yeah.
even to a board meeting.
Or even to a board meeting.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be down.
It was really helpful to kind of give like the full like view, but
I was on ACE when Seth came and it was really helpful. Yeah.
And we have had female SROs in the past.
Yeah, stuff.
Yeah, there you go, there you go.
So that's the demographics. The proposed agreement is for one SRO for 180 school days per year. It has been reviewed by our district legal counsel to be compliant with RCW. The duration would be September 1st through June 30th of the next school year, 24-25. And this estimated cost item is the not to exceed amount. What we're actually paying is closer to $83,000 a year.
Perfect. That was a big question that I had, because I was like doing the math on their actual salaries and I was like, that's insane.
Yeah, that's just an upper boundary for us, so we can budget for it, but it's not, the actual cost is well.
that is helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Does our student advisor have any perspective or feedback that you've heard in your building?
Yeah, absolutely. This is Nathan Boyer, right?
Bauer.
Okay. Oh, Bauer, yes. All my interactions have been nothing but absolutely wonderful. Not only is he what appears to be well good at his job, he's also a very thoughtful person, very respectful. I've gotten to talk to a couple other students about him, and I've only heard good things. There was one experience though that they felt it was almost unneeded to have an SRO, which I thought was interesting. I didn't get up to talk to them more about it. But other than that, it's been nothing but good songs from all the students. I feel safer with knowing that there's a resource officer on campus. But I do know that a lot of other people have different perspectives, and some people don't feel like he provides any value. So it's important to look at all sides, but I've only heard good things.
Good to know then. So this isn't an action item. Is there any other questions or discussion? Entertain a motion to approve the agreement with the city of Arlington for the school resource officer.
I make a motion, we approve the City of Arlington, School Resource Officer Services Interlocal Agreement 24-25.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Director Kelly and seconded by Director Knapp to approve the agreement with the City of Arlington over the school resource officer for 24-25.
Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
President Levesque,
Yes.
Director Knapp.
Yes. All right, thank you, Brian, we appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And next up, we'd like to welcome Gina Zutenhorst, our Executive Director of Financial Services, to go over our changes for our 24-25 student fee schedule. And this is also another agenda, action item, thank you.
Hello, Gina Zutenhorst, Executive Director of Financial Services, here to talk to you about the student fee schedule for next year. So, we have a board policy and procedure 3520, and it provides the circumstances and guidelines for charging fees, and it requires that the schedule of rates and fees be brought to the board for approval each year. And aside from fundraiser type items, fees are mostly for supplementary or optional type items, and they're not intended to exceed the costs. Where fines are involved, they're intended to cover replacement cost or replacement of lost or damaged property or materials. The district office compiles this schedule after requesting input from principals and departments for any changes to the schedule. So the changes that we have for coming to the school year from the previous, first off, is the changes are, well, senior dinner dance is what I had on my list to talk about first. And yes, it is highlighted. This came as a request from the high school. That dance is an ASB, Associated Student Body event, and it is optional. It's planned and organized by the students through the ASB. And Arlington High School has requested an increase in the price range on the fee schedule to be between $15 and $25. So that is a better representation of the increasing cost of the venue where the senior dance is hosted. Next, student learning device protection plan. This is in order to better offset the increasingly high cost of repairs for district-owned student learning devices. The district's technology department proposes an increase for the enrollment fee to go from $20 to $30, and to increase the cap on replacement cost if enrolled in the plan from 50 to 100. And it's limited to one incident. And to clarify also that if enrolled in the plan, repairs are at no cost, but the repairs are capped at 2 incidents, with the first incident being covered and the second incident being covered at 50%.
So that means, Gina, if that's 50%, the person, the student is then responsible for the other 50% of that repair?
Yes.
And are these incidents in our technology, are they things that happen in the school, or are these when like Chromebooks or something are going home?
They could be either. It could be anywhere that they're utilizing the device.
I'm guessing that would be more apt to think there might be an incident outside the school, but if it's on, yeah, it could be anything, okay.
It could be anywhere. All
And
right,
everybody signs up for this when you,
it's optional. You can choose to enroll in.
so if you don't sign up and you harm technology, let's just say the Chromebook, the parent is on the hook for repair.
They could be.
So Sherry, for example, at the beginning of the last school year, when we were assigned Chromebooks.
Right.
I did opt for the plan. It was in the first, I think you have like a month window, basically.
Yeah,
to
it's a sign, yes.
And yeah, you just pay for the plan, and if it happens to break, then it's covered, but if you don't have a plan, then you cover the cost of it.
Mhm.
It's like a warranty.
Yeah, it's a warranty.
And the school's pretty good about collecting that, I'm guessing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Seems pretty good system, so.
Thank you.
The next up is parking permits. Arlington High School would like authorization to increase the parking permit fee from $35 to $50 and to change the parking ticket cost from what was $15, $25, and $35 for a first, second, or third offense. And now moving that up to $50, $60, or $65 for the first, second, third offense. So this will assist them in enforcing and managing the numerous student vehicles parking at Arlington High School during the day, and providing an offset to the maintenance and operations of the parking lot.
I did.
I have a couple questions about the high school parking permit at Arlington High School. Does the administration at the high school, are they concerned with any kind of unintended consequences of students now not wanting to pay for the parking permit and parking in the streets around my neighborhood? Right? Is there any concern there? It happens frequently.
Oh, yeah, it's,
A lot of times kids just don't want to deal with the parking lot traffic, and so they'll just park on the street.
To get
But
out.
the neighbors
sooner.
don't like that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring that to your awareness. I'm not sure how to remedy that, but no parking signs would be fun. The neighbors don't like that either, so.
it's a conundrum.
Well,
Just
there's other
concern.
towns like Snohomish, it happens in,
Mhm.
you know, all towns with, high schools in neighborhoods.
Residential.
Yeah.
Schools in neighborhoods, super
Or-
fun.
Yeah.
So,
I think it was, I thought the parking was 50 at one point before like COVID. I thought it was higher at one point and then they lowered it during a time. And then
I
they
think it
were,
was 25 a couple of years ago, and they raised it to 35.
okay.
Does that sound familiar?
I don't remember changing that price on the fee schedule for many years, actually.
Mhm.
This is the first time I've represented a cost increase in the time I've been here for student parking.
Yeah, very good.
Nathan, do you have an opinion about the high school parking lot? Would you share it? Do you
Yeah.
park in it?
I do park in it. It's awful the way it's organized. I mean, we've known this for years. It's horrible getting in and out of it. Is there an immediate answer to how we fix that? No, there's not. Can we look into it? Possibly. As for increasing the prices, I don't really understand. I'd love to talk more about it. I understand possibly with the second and third offense. Because at that point, you're paying double the price of just buying a permit.
Mhm.
But going from 35 to 50 just to park, I mean, most kids, when they're able to drive and they're parking into high school, it's because their parent is working and they can't drive them to school. It's also because you want freedom. It's like, oh, at that age, I kind of want to drive wherever I want now.
Gotta pay to play, man.
You do. But $15,
Yeah, I know.
yeah. So it'll be extremely, I mean, no one will like it. Just something.
Mhm. But it is an annual pass, correct? Not on a
Correct.
term basis, yeah.
Yeah,
54
and-
years.
And proposed by Arlington High School Administration, so.
Yeah.
This is not a district imposed or.
Right, and she said
Yeah.
that, yeah.
But you make a good point, Nathan, that the first offense, that's basically paying for a permit.
So
So,
it's
So that's
encouraging.
rational.
It is encouraging.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want that fence, because,
But from a student's perspective, it's like, okay, either I take my chances and park in the lot. Give or take, I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes they don't look at your car for weeks.
Yeah.
Or it's park in the neighborhood.
right.
And there isn't any other parking besides the neighborhood, so they don't really have a choice. You could go down to the neighborhood, by Pioneer. And that's walk over, but it's just difficult, so.
Yeah, it's a convenience. I mean, I think why kids like that is that it's right there. I mean, you park down the hill by Mary's, actually gonna go fit.
And you have to lug all your
There's always
stuff.
the bus.
There's always the
There is a school bus. Kids love buses.
Ride the bus, you're seeing it.
Okay, well, I have one more fee
One more.
Just trying to
describe to you and, or two more. Just two more. The next on list is Child Nutrition Services Department. They recommend an increase of, it's 25 cents for the paid full price student meals. And then a 50-cent increase for adult meals And that would go into effect for 24-25 year. And these prices are based on the Child Nutrition Services Department's cost analysis, and OSPI, Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction, their federal program analysis guidelines that the department follows. That is that.
100% covers it. Going as well.
So all of the, for those that do not otherwise qualify for free and reduced meal prices, the paid price increases by 25 cents. And for the adult meal, it increases by 50 cents. And that's just trying to keep up with the cost of providing the food and nutrition services program, serving the food. Labor costs are increasing. Costs of providing food costs are increasing. So our food nutrition services program works really hard at what they do, and we are still operating in a deficit in that program. So it's heavily subsidized by federal and state funding, and then the paid prices, but federal and state funding doesn't necessarily keep up with the actual cost of providing that program. It's required to do, highly regulated.
How much is reduced lunch? Because up there it's just listed as free.
Then it's free.
Isn't it like 40 cents or something? Reduced
For-
lunch, do we don't have
For
reduced
grades
price?
4 and 5, middle and high school, it's free.
Yeah, it says reduced is free.
Yeah, there's a state program that makes, if a student qualifies for reduced price lunches, the state picks up the cost difference between free and reduced.
So if they qualify for reduced, it's automatically free?
Yes.
It's paid for by
No
the state.
cost,
Yeah, it's no cost.
They should probably call it something, or we should probably call it. It's very confusing. Reduced to 0.
Yeah.
Very much reduced.
Call it, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Gina.
Right. And then our last item on this fee schedule for discussion for change is our driver's education fee, traffic safety, driver's ed, whichever you want to call it. Per the request from the district's traffic safety education coordinator. They'd like the fee to increase from $625 to $650, the written test fee from $50 to $60, and the drive skills test from $90 to $100. And the changes are requested to cover the increasing cost of staff salaries, gas, maintenance, and insurance, but also as part of the ongoing plan to collect enough funds to allow for purchase of an additional driver's education car. And I just want to also reiterate that this program is provided as a service to students and families in the community. It's optional, voluntary. The program has operated with the assumption that it must be self-supporting, and it is. Private companies are also available to provide this class to the community. And Arlington Public Schools driver's education class is priced in range with what private companies charge. And it's a convenient option for students in Arlington. You may remember that we came to you mid-year 23-24 also to have an increase mid-year. At the driver's ed coordinator at that time also told me his plan was that it was a stepped request, an increase mid-year and then another increase this fall. So I'm following through with that after he reminded and gave us the information again to stay that course and increase that fee.
So will this be the final step, or are we looking at more steps?
I don't know of any additional
Okay.
steps. I would not anticipate coming for another mid-year. It is not customary for us to come for mid-year increases, although we've had to do a few recently.
Would there be a way for us to do I don't know if it'd be a part of a survey, but I would be curious how many students maybe would like to participate in our driver's ed program, but that money is the barrier. When I did my training, went to Walla Walla, the high school there, which is like a Western type program. It's not, it's an ALE program. They offer driver's ed free for their high school students. And I talked to a legislator about proposing that as an option to maybe make that a bill, that it would be a course or something, because I wondered if it was a barrier, if it was truly equitable for our students. And I think we should dive a little deeper on that. I mean, just in Dr. Sweeting, and talking to other school superintendents, I would like to find out if this is a true impediment sometimes. I know there are options, and if you're less than 18, this is your option to this one or the other two in town. But I would just wonder if there are a portion of our students that need or would like to take it and it's not available. When I was in school, we had it as an offering. It was mandated and it was covered. I don't know that I would have gotten my license at 16 if I had had my parents cough up that kind of money.
Right, yep, the laws changed and we are no longer subsidized or provided any funding from the state for this program, so. And in the absence of that, we're really not obligated to provide it at all. So it is by the graces of it being fully funded
Right.
by the tuition and fees that come.
It's covered, and that's very responsible. That's very responsible. I just, I'm just thinking about some people.
Yeah, it would be great if we had a foundation or other donating agency that provided scholarships for students that were not free and reduced or had unique needs. Could be recommended by a counselor or something like that, but we need a funding source for that. That'd be another idea.
Okay, can you remind me again how much we ended the school year with the student meal debt? Like what was the,
Oh, I don't know what the meal debt balance is.
is there any concern that if we raise our prices, we're just really raising our debt?
Possibly, but possibly not, because a lot of the schools now are operating under different provisions where it's free for the entire school. Rather than needing to qualify for free or reduced status pricing. So there's actually going to be less individuals that would be paying paid prices. And they should be
Because the threshold changes next year, right?
changes every year. I think.
Changes every year.
I
Okay.
think.
At the times, but you're right. Any more questions about any of these fee increases? I don't like it. I know.
Yeah.
This is an action item. We have a motion to approve the 24-25 student fee schedule.
Motion to approve student fee schedule.
A second.
It's been moved by Director Diamond and seconded by Director Kelly to approve the 24-25 student fee schedule as presented. Madam Clerk. Director Diamond,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
President Levesque. Yes. Director Knapp. Yes.
Begrudgingly.
Begrudgingly, yes. All right, thank you for the student fee schedule, Gina. Now you're up again with our draft 24-25 budget briefing.
Right, I'm going to share my screen to get to the presentation. I remember how to do it.
I didn't read all to it. My lunch break is not that.
No. The time reading.
Yes.
This is Matt's favorite part of the presentation.
The budget.
He's so enthralled.
Okay. Yes, so here to share a budget draft. This is our 24-25 budget. We have had several months of getting to this point where we actually have an official draft to share with you. Always want to start our conversation off with, oh, it's not advancing.
Says save a copy.
Upload block.
Hmm.
Along the bottom that you need to say no thank you to. There's always these subtitles between.
Don't want
say
to
no
say
thank
that.
you.
Oh, there we go.
I'm trying for it to be the slideshow.
On the right, do you see
Oh,
that
it says
box?
that
It's
it's-
always
yeah.
these subtitles. Can you say no thanks to that?
See the little screen at the bottom? Just down under the slider. Very, very bottom.
Yeah.
You can put it as something blocking. Share it out.
Then verify that you have the necessary permission. to upload this file. And then they
Consider
go,
the file like.
Right, just hit the X and see if it goes right.
That's
a first.
Oh, well, I guess we'll just let everybody see what all the slides are to come.
Perfect.
That I was not okay with.
No, the big reveal at once.
Yeah, that way you'll know how much longer we have to. Okay.
More
So
suspense.
let's just see if it moves. There we go. So we always want to start with our
Mhm.
vision aligned budgeting and talk about our mission and our strategic plan, goal 3, resource stewardship. Because we do not create this budget just of numbers. We are thinking about what our goals are and aligning that. So here's slides that have those subsets of strategic plan goal 3. And here are values that guide budget decisions. Our board in a couple years back did some good work in putting these into policy. That these were things they wanted to be part of the decision-making process when we're building the budget, values that guide budget decisions. So there's a wide variety of things here. And I've been keeping this in our monthly presentations, often referring to it, and still have highlighted on there that we invest in appropriate internal controls over financial operations and maintain compliance with board policy for minimum fund balance. We're talking about minimum fund balance while also allowing for flexibility in times of emergency. And so as we've been discussing, we are still coming off of the heels of our emergency, which was the pandemic, and created lower fund balance for ourselves during those years and coming out of those years. And it's going to take time to build it back up. So acknowledging that we are carrying balance less than what would be advisable or even required by our minimum fund balance policy, with a plan coming off of the emergency to build it back up. But these are very good budget value things, and I won't read them all, but you can scan them quickly. So going into the required budget format, it's called an F-195. And it is a document that's 2 inches thick. It is attached to your board document place. You can look through it, you can study it, you can analyze it. It is really detailed. And so I have compiled from that a summary that we'll go through. And also describing to you that the state dictates that formula. And it is a state software that we have to put up our data into in that format, which is why it's so detailed in the format that it is. But it includes 5 major funds, and we'll talk about all of them, but the main one is the general fund one. And so we'll get into that. Just the big bird's eye summary. This is our beginning fund balance, revenues, expenditures, and ending fund balance. We've got a budget for 24-25 column kind of in the middle there, top middle. It's compared to the prior year's 23-24 budget. And gives you a perspective. We would be starting with, we anticipate around $1 million for our beginning fund balance. Coming off of this year that we're in now, we anticipate ending with around $1 million, or 1.1 million is what's being utilized in the beginning fund balance for next year. With total revenues and total expenditures, our ending fund balance would be built back up to 2.6 million, according to a budgeted estimate. Now, going to staff counts, that is included in the budget as well. There's exhibits that are all about just FTE, how many staff we have in which different programs. Our certificated employees, you can see that we're budgeting for 356 positions. And for classified employees, we are budgeting for 215 positions. And that does show a minor decline from prior year. And then our enrollment is also posted up there. We do have to input the estimated enrollment numbers. Board approved in January what we would anticipate to use for enrollment, and that's included in the budget. It drives a lot of the different revenues that we have that come in from the state. But this is again a picture of what those numbers look like. Overall, it's about 70 more student FTE than we were serving for actual 23-24. So we are increasing. It is a very small, slow rate, but we're still not quite back to where we were prior to the pandemic. So just some really key points. Our estimated beginning fund balance, we think 1 million. Our estimated ending fund balance is, we think, around 2 million. Spending is going to need to remain very narrow, and future years are still going to be very lean. We are still going to be with that level of fund balance. We are still going to be in a situation of where we're going to need to, during our low months, during the low March and June being the very lowest, we will still have to ask for interfund loans from our capital projects fund to get us through those low months. And it's a cash flow issue, not a resource issue. I'll talk about more about our general fund. Not that one. There we go. Budgeted revenues. This is showing more of detail around what our budgeted revenues are going to be in the major categories that we have: local taxes, state and federal, and then other category. And the primary increase from prior year to this year, as far as budget goes, local taxes, that's an increase. Our levy is increasing for 2025. We will not experience the benefit of that increase until partway through 2025. And then state also is increasing. Largely that's attributable to the implicit price deflator percentage, 3.7%, but also because of increased enrollment but also increased enrollment in some of our special categories, special education, and some of the other categories and programs that we serve. And then federal is pretty level. Other revenues, I'll just still point out that includes a $5 million entry for GASB, Governmental Accounting Standards Board's required accounting entries, and they're for leases and subscription-based information technology agreements. And so we have that category as contingency to be able to book those. It's not actual expenses or revenue, it is book entries only. So we still have to have a category there for that. And then for budgeted expenditures, that is not supposed to be showing. Here we go. It's lagging.
So I have all my.
Budgeted
what's
expenditures by
next.
program is what I'm supposed to have up there.
Oh, not by object. Is it the next one after that? The next one's expenditures. By object.
There, program summary.
Oh, okay, so how the categories,
Yeah.
Title One, okay.
I see.
So all of these categories are defined by the state as far as how we code out the different expenditures we have. And so we've got the major categories up there summarized: regular instruction, special education, career and technical, compensatory is like title, and special learning assistance programs, and other instructional programs. We have community services and we have support services. And so most of the increases are related to salary increases and the increase of materials, supplies, and other operating costs.
Gina, is this a year for the teachers to do their contract as a certificate?
They are currently in some negotiations.
How does that factor into this?
We have budgeted 3.7. Because that is what we received as the implicit price before.
So wanting to keep those negotiations around that percentages. All things being equal, that's what this is budgeting. With
This
that-
only
with that in
accounts
mind.
for a 3.7%
Gotcha.
increase, recognizing that there could be different things negotiated.
Okay.
But as you can see, our fund balance is Meeker. Okay, and then the next one is same number, but divided up differently. So this is also state defined coding structure here. Divides it out by certificated salaries, classified salaries, employee benefits, so payroll taxes and medical benefits. And then supplies and materials, purchase services, travel and capital outlay. And so again, you can see that the primary increases are related to salaries, and that makes sense because we are 86% of our total costs are made up of our salaries for paying our people. And also just mentioning there's an offsetting entry here. I've talked about the GASB $5 million amount. And then there on the revenue side, and now there's also a $5 million amount on the expenditure side. They're offsetting, they're not actual revenues and expenditures, but they are entries that we're required to do for special lease accounting entries and then school-based information technology agreements, which is got a nice acronym called SPITA. This is another slide that was not supposed to be showing in the slideshow, but now here's our 4-year budget summary. It's actually 3 years that we have prepared for the draft. We still have a 4th year to get compiled in there, but this shows you the trajectory that we are trying to build back up to with our revenues and expenditures, what we estimate our costs to be and our revenues to be 2 years out from next year.
Tina, I can't quite make out the regionalization factor. Can you?
Yes,
Tell
the
me what it-
regionalization factor says 16% and 12%, and it's just held steady because that's all we know it to be. We don't know it to be changing. It's not scheduled to go down. It's scheduled to be what it is for the next few years, but that is something that is being discussed at the legislative level. That school districts and advocates are continuing to press with the state because it doesn't make sense as a funding allocation method. It doesn't make sense, so 16% and 12%, and the 16% includes a 4% experience factor for fact that our staff, our certificated staff is highly educated, lots of years of experience. And so we do receive an extra 4% in the regionalization factor to recognize that. And that is a very rough draft, so we will still be coming with an updated version of that. So that is the general fund summary. And I have short summaries for all of the other funds as well to glance at. ASB fund, capital projects, debt service, and transportation vehicle fund. So are there any questions though before I move along? Okay, our ASB fund, here's the picture of what that looks like for next year. The funds are support student support activities and athletics, and also supported by general fund revenues. And the revenues come primarily from student body fees, activity gate receipts, fundraising, and donations. A very important premise of Associated Student Body Fund is that they are student governed and students are involved in the design of the budget, and student approval is required for the use of ASB funds. Our debt service fund. This is what that looks like for next year. Pretty much what comes into there is solely for principal and interest payments on outstanding debt. And we do not have any voted bonds debt outstanding. Anything that was for bonds that we like for building the high school back when, that has been fully paid off. So the only thing that we have outstanding for bonds is the non-voted debt that was issued to purchase to finance the purchase of buses and the financing that was done for jump starting some of the capital project levy projects. So we are finishing up the servicing of that debt. We have to transfer it from capital projects to the debt service fund, because that's where we're required to do. And the debt service fund pays the principal and interest payments owing on that.
Gina, slightly off topic, but something like the addition to the C wing at the Arlington High School that was done, I think 2 years ago now.
Yep.
What was that paid through? Was that a levy?
Capital levy,
Levy?
yes. But to that, in order to jumpstart some of that was a bigger project. And in order to have the financing available to get that done in a short amount of time, we were able to issue non-voted debt. Smaller, I think it was 15 million, anyway, it's a smaller amount than what we would have needed to do for like a post-middle school. So we issued that debt, non-voted debt, and then we are pay it back with the proceeds of the capital levy taxes as they come in over the next 4 years. So we are just now paying off the last part of that bonded debt, but that C-wing's done, right? We were able to get it done because we could finance it with the non-voted debt. And we're paying it back with the last bit of taxes that we pull in. And we had a revenue source in the capital projects fund that takes care of any of the interest on that debt. But it has to be transferred to the debt, sorry, this is lots of accounting talk, sorry, but we have to transfer it all to debt service to pay out the debt. So now we'll talk about the capital projects fund, and the main source of revenue that's coming in there is from capital levy taxes, around 6.7 or so million, and the expenditures are as described in the capital levy. 2024 will be finishing up some of the last projects that were part of the 2020 levy, and President's Elementary roof and building upgrades is one of those things that's happening right now, but we'll be finishing it up. And then Pioneer Elementary roof and building upgrades would be for 24-25 spending. And then transfer out to debt service is what you see on that, expenditures and transfers out. 4.65 million of that is representing transfers out to the debt service fund, pay for the debt. But the other part is just expenses for project work. And then here's our transportation vehicle fund. It's the last fund we have to talk about. This is another category we're required to, if we're gonna buy a bus, we have to buy it out of our transportation vehicle fund. And the main source of funds that comes in there is from the state, according to a depreciation schedule on the current buses we own. They depreciate, have dollar amounts that they figure out, and that's what they provide to us each year, with the idea that you would be able to utilize those monies to buy new buses. So we are budgeting to expend the resources out of there to purchase buses. Now we have some on order already, and they've just taken a long time to get here. But we want to make sure we have the capacity that we've budgeted to spend. We have funds that we have capacity to actually pay for those buses. And they do get here, because if we're paying for them next year, we ordered them now, but we're paying for them next year. We have to have budget capacity to still pay the bill.
So Gina, we pay for the bus all up front. We don't do it like a payment plan. It's not a rent to own.
No, there's probably different
Hey,
ways that it
creative
can be done,
financing.
but no.
So you pay for it
buy
up front, and then it's a
outright.
depreciation with the government, and then you
Yeah.
get.
And then just next budget process timeline, I'll come back to you August 12 with what would be a final budget. And we'll have a public hearing and invite public comment, questions. The budget resolution will be proposed for adoption. And we have to adopt a budget, the law says, by August 31st. And then after the board adopts it, it's submitted to OSPI, and they authorize or approve it as well. There will be a draft version of the budget on our website as well. July 10, it will be posted up there. We put notice out to the public for them to access that draft. It's also available through Board Docs. And the Northwest ESD 189 also reviews our draft. So, questions?
does our student advisor have a question?
Yeah, just a quick question. As for the transportation and vehicle summary, I see we have revenues of about 532,000.
532,000, yes.
What are the revenues coming?
That is what we anticipate we will receive from the state
That's the
for
state.
their depreciation model. Like if they think we have 25 buses, let's say, and they're all different ages, they've got a schedule that they depreciate. I think it's 12 to 15 years. They'll be fully depreciated, but they've been giving us payments over the years to replace.
Yeah.
It's not typically quite enough to actually buy the bus, but
Do you know on average how much a bus is?
it depends on the size.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess it, and then Brian can maybe correct me. 68 to 100,000.
For
Million?
bus?
A million.
Let's say a big bus, 80 to 90,000.
Oh, no.
140.
I can afford explode.
Was the biggest one? We must buy medium size.
So the big one is how much?
Is
Now
that,
we're talking.
does that include air conditioning?
No. No?
How much extra does it?
180,000 for a big bus, and then the next size
Big
down
bus.
is.
We'll quote it next time.
Okay.
I'd be interested to know how much extra air conditioning on a bus costs.
I'd say 10.
That's not worth it. Windows down.
Have you ever ridden a bus in the 4th of July parade? Really not.
Hardly any children.
20 grand for one day.
Be worth it.
We're-
All right, any questions for Gina? All right, next
These are
up,
opportunities.
don't go anywhere. Next up, you're gonna tell us about the resolution 2410 interfund loan.
Yes, so back to current year budget, we've been talking about next year, but now I'm gonna draw you back to 23-24. And thank you for the board for listening during the study session to the financial
For the last.
highlights of the financial condition for current month.
Yeah.
And I've been coming every month to share each month's, here's where we're at, and here's where we're at. We have been tracking cash flow, previous authorization for an interfund loan. Oops, I gotta stop sharing. Stop sharing. And there is the resolution. It says resolution 2410. We had a previous authorization for an interfund loan, and it provided for up to 2.8 million. And the district has recently accessed approximately 2.6 million of that for the month of June. And the projections indicate continued cash shortfalls may be experienced into the month of July and August. The district is requesting an additional interfund loan for up to 1 million so that the current obligations for July and through the end of the fiscal year can be met. The WAC laws around this, they're referenced in the RCW, and the state accounting manual for school districts allows for temporary interfund loans from the capital projects fund to the general fund, provided the loan does not interfere with the operation of the capital projects fund, and that the general fund pays the amount of interest to the capital fund it would have earned. The capital fund would have earned if it had remained invested with the county. So our apportionment funding relief will not be received until the end of July, and then again at the end of August. And other expected funds such as safety net, which is another about $1 million+ is what we're expecting. And other grant revenues as well will not be received until the end of the month of August, September, and even October, because we're doing it. We have to claim it and then we get it, spend it first and then we receive reimbursement. The district plans to repay the loan balance in full by the time the year-end close processes are complete. And all revenue accruals have been made for the 23-24 fiscal year. And there is a budgetary impact. Interest has to be paid to the loaning fund. And the interest rate has to be the Snohomish County Treasurer rate that it would use for the district's investments during the months of the loan. The estimated loan interest to be paid to the capital projects fund for this 1 million would be around $4,376 as an estimate using April's interest rate, because we didn't have the May one quite published yet. actually issued it. Anyway, it's very close to the April May interest rate is 5.325 APR, and that would generate approximately $145.89 per day. If the entire loan was utilized for 30 days, it would be about $4,376 cost. And the amount may change just depending on the county's actual interest during the period as applied to the amount of the loan outstanding and the payback dates. And that's mostly embodied there as well in the resolution. So, are there questions?
I hear no questions.
No questions.
Do we have a motion to approve resolution 2410 interfund loan?
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution 2410 for the interfund.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Director Knapp and seconded by Director Kelly to approve resolution 2410 interfund loan. Director Diamond,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
President Levesque, aye. Director Knapp.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes and resolution 2410 interfund loan is approved. Thank you, Gina. Okay, the next part of our agenda is our executive session to evaluate the qualifications of candidates for appointment to elective office. And so I'm just gonna read a lovely little script for a minute, and you're welcome to just sit tight. We will now recess this meeting so the board may convene in an executive session to evaluate the qualifications of candidates for the appointment to vacant school board director, director district number 3. I estimate the executive session will last approximately 15 minutes, during which time no final action will be taken. Following the executive session, this meeting will be reconvened to continue the new business portion of the meeting. So I'm marking 7:52 is my time on my watch. And we will be back in 15 minutes from that, which is math. So I don't know what time that is. Is it 8:07, 8:07?
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, you know what?
Have you guys printed them? They're on your printer?
I like keep in them now, I just.
Okay, I have it. I'll fix it. You give it a print out.
The left of it now, I don't know.
What, you're okay?
Oh, hang on.
Oh, yeah.
All right, our reconvene a writing, we're done with our executive session. Now we will do the next part of our regular meeting, our new business continued. It's our appointment of our school board director, Director District 3. And I first want to say thank you to all the candidates for putting your name forward and being brave and interviewing tonight. It's not an easy task. And thank you for stepping forward. We know that you all care about our kids and our community and our schools. Thank you very much. Obviously, we can only pick one person, but I do want to let everyone know that we have opportunities to serve also in the community in our schools with a few different committees. And Chris is going to explain exactly where they are.
So on the district website, under district committees, there's you just scroll it and it'll explain all the different opportunities. And there's a link there that you could just go into the link and just say, I want to be part of our district community equity team, or I want to be part of our advisory council for education, or I want to be part of our budget advisory task force, or the facility advisory committee. So there's so many choices, and we do want voices on our committees. And so please, those of you that are, not appointed tonight, please consider that.
All right, now I'll entertain a motion to appoint somebody as a school board director for Director District 3 to serve until the next school board director election in November 2025.
And I put a motion that the board appoint Nicole Watts as school board director for Director District number 3 to serve until the next school board director election in November of 2025.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Kelly and seconded by Director Knapp to approve the appointment of Nicole Watts as school board director for Director District 3 to serve until the next school board director election in November 2025. Director Diamond.
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
President Levesque. Aye. Director Knapp. Aye. And the motion carries, and we welcome Nicole, and you'll be sworn in at the next meeting. Thank you very much.
We hope that all of us feel that's good.
We
Yeah,
hope that
thank
you
you.
all stay very involved. We appreciate you. Thank you. The next thing on our agenda is just informational items. Just reminding everybody about our next meeting that will be held Monday, August 12th at 6:00 p.m. at the district office boardroom. And if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
It's been moved by Director Diamond and seconded by Director Knapp to adjourn the meeting. Madam Clerk. Director Diamond.
Yes.
Director Kelly.
Yes.
President Levesque. Yes.